name is Michael Kramer, and today I'll be discussing my policy speech. You can catch a train from Tokyo to Osaka, which is about 320 miles, for around $80, and it will take you around 2.5 hours to get there. On the contrary, in the United States, if you want to go the same distance, it would take you 6+ hours and cost you over $150. The United States is a very big problem when it comes to our transportation system. I propose the United States implements a federally funded continental high-speed railway that will connect major cities to one another, lower overall carbon emissions, and help clear up the car and air congestion. Today I'll be walking you through a 3-step process from the problem, cause, and solution for America's to America's transportation problem. We have a broken transportation system with congestion and over-reliance on cars and trains. I'll discuss how we got to this situation to begin with, and a solution that will solve it. The United States has an over-reliance and a transportation crisis when it comes to our transportation system. An over-reliance on cars and air travel has destroyed this nation. The United States ranks the lowest when it comes to public transportation use, according to the Public Transportation Association report. 90% of all trips in the United States are taken by car. This is the lowest out of all comparable nations. When it comes to transportation, it is the largest sector of carbon emissions in the United States. Over 28% of all carbon emission is caused by cars, airlines, and then as we see, rail, compared to cars, is significantly less, and then the United States carbon emissions is significantly greater than that of the EU. Not only that, but it's costly. Traffic costs the United States taxpayer around $1,800 per person per year, according to the NIRIX report. This isn't just about cars, but also air travel. Delays cost the United States passenger and airline around $3 billion per year, according to the FAA. Flights around and under 500 miles are the worst at this. They're the least efficient and most costly. This is a perfect distance where high-speed rail would be a better alternative. This is also not a new concept. In the United States now, 70% of the population already supports an expansion for public transport, which came up in a Gallup survey. And the important question is, how did we get here? What happened? The United States used to have one of the most expansive railway networks in the world. However, due to corporate lobbying, railway and highway subsidies, and policy changes that put cars and automobiles over people. The Federal Aid Highway Act of 1956 put hundreds of billions of dollars into building highways across the United States. According to historian Peter Norton in his writing, Fighting Traffic, the automotive industry has lobbied so hard that it destroyed the United States railway system, and they put the benefits of automotive and automobiles over that of the American people. This artificially invented the issue of the last mile. The last mile is a problem in which you can't go the last mile of your distance without a car. That isn't only the reason when it comes to lobbying. However, poor funding and investment is also contributing to the same thing. Amtrak receives only $2 billion per year, while highways receive over $50 billion. And the U.S. railroads that do exist are owned by freight corporations, and they do not allow public transportation on these railways. Now, when we compare the United States to other comparable nations like Japan, the EU, or China, we see that China has over 26,000 miles in high-speed railway, and they've had this since 2008. Japan has had their railway system since 1964, and they've had 0 casualties in the entire history. When we look at the EU, they already have a much better railway network, and they're looking to add to it in the years of 2040 through 2050. Now that we understand the problem and how we got here, let's talk solutions. I propose a high-speed continental railway network that connects the United States major cities together. This will be conducted in a 3-phase plan. First phase is connecting our major cities together. We look at the Northeast, we have Florida, and then we have the West Coast for the California cities, as well as the Texas Triangle and the Midwest. Connecting these major hubs will create a great base in which the railway can be made. A lot of these areas already have good rail infrastructure, which will lend itself to this project. Phase 2 of this proposal would be to obviously connect all of these hubs together with federally funded railway networks. In order to get around the private property laws in the United States, we can use federal land in order to acquire the land necessary to build public transportation on. The structure that we'll be using to make and design this railroad will be a mix of a public and private system. Public funding will help design, fund, and construct said railway networks, and private corporations will manage and operate them, similar to that of utility companies and their regional monopolies. Now to phase 3, our stakeholders. It is important to know that an operation of this size will affect millions and millions of people. When it comes to rural areas, this will allow them to connect to people in major cities and provide greater opportunity. For the air industry, flights over 500 miles, flights under 500 miles, obviously have an issue and are less profitable. This will add a great will eliminate congestion and allow them to access a lot more long-range and more profitable airline flights. For the automotive industry, obviously this will be counterintuitive as it is a direct competition. However, it will increase EV and rental car companies and their profits will soar. When we look at energy, it obviously lowers carbon emissions. However, we will need to provide energy to increase and fund this. So providing tax benefits to these corporations will increase their likelihood of joining. Now, it's important to know that we can continue to live in the past, or we can build for our future and construct a high-speed railway. The United States does have a very bad transportation crisis, and the one solution is a high-speed continental railway. Thank you.